Hi, everyone. We're the Non-Prophets. I'm your host, Jeff D. Our co-host is Denis Loubet.
Howdy.
Our producer, Russell Glasser.
Hello.
And welcome our engineer, Matt Dillahunty.
Hi.
We are live, June 4, 2005, broadcasting from Burnett Studios in beautiful Hunter's Chase. Whew. And it's another show. There's some seating arrangements being made. Do we have to do that?
Matt
live?
is practicing with the equipment, so then I won't have to be here for every single show if the need should arise for me.
Why did you have to change seats just now?
Because I want to be on the chat room.
Why did you have to stop talking and mention it?
Yeah.
All right. Let's get through some announcements. I have some rather saddening / disturbing announcements this morning. When I checked today, the National Atheist Ombuds web address at ombudsman.secular.ws had expired. There's nothing there except some outfit that wants to sell that address. If anybody out there can email me information about the status of the ombuds, whether they're moving or coming back in some other form or really, truly, permanently defunct, I would really like to know that. In the meanwhile, I suggest the following alternative, the Non-Believer Anti-Discrimination Project at www.nonbeliever.org. Unfortunately, despite the name, that is not a project for rapid public response to public defamation of atheists. It's more of an informational resource on past and ongoing discrimination against non-believers. So, but, at least potentially it's a place where if you hear about current discrimination, you might be able to email the moderator of that site and get it listed. I don't know. I don't know. Okay. Somebody please tell me if there's anything I need to know about. Celebrity Atheists page has still not been updated. This is like more than a month now that since Reed Esau, who was the moderator of that page, said they were going to update it and turn it into a wiki-based site so people could go there and enter new information and new people and stuff and do things like take out what's his name? The Anthony Flew.
Yeah.
And stuff. That has still not moved forward, and I'd like to see some action there. Maybe one of our listeners would like to go to that website, www.celebatheists.com, and submit an email volunteering to
all
take
you web
over the
designers
site.
out there.
All you baby web people who want to do something to actually assist in the movement. That's a thing you might want to consider doing. The Heart of the Beholder film is now available on DVD or VHS for online purchase. Visit www.beholder.com. I ordered 2 copies this morning. Matt, you bought a copy?
Yes.
Awesome.
I'll probably go home and order one.
This is
so that's 3 copies out of...
I don't know.
Never mind.
I don't know. But the point is that is a film chronicling actual events involving crazy fundamentalist activism, in that case, versus the video store owners who were carrying the Last Temptation of Christ. And it's the sort of story that needs to be told in our culture, and it would be nice if they could make some money at it.
Get it out there.
Speaking of videos, The God Who Wasn't There is a documentary we've been talking about. Their DVDs are going on sale in 2 days, June 6th. Their soundtrack CD is already available. You can go to www.thegodmovie.com. One last thing I want to mention. Have any of you out there ever heard of Anthony Marr? This guy has been sending emails to atheist groups all over the place, trying to get invited as a guest speaker to discuss his new philosophy that he calls omniscience. or omni-scientific cosmology.
Oh, boy.
This guy is, I've done a bunch of research on him to try to figure out what his deal is. He is he has been active in protecting tigers, or Bengal tigers. Is that India?
Yeah.
That apparently is something that he has really done.
Nice.
Though I'm slightly skeptical of that because there's very little coverage of his activities other than newspapers that have interviewed him where he told them about what he was doing and his own website. But at least that's believable. And he's a pretty strong advocate of veganism. A lot of vegan sites talk about him. I don't know what the connection is there. And I'm personally a little skeptical of veganism. But I have read his website where he talks about this omni-scientific cosmology, which looks to me like nothing more than attempting to arbitrarily impose a hierarchy on various things. Like, here's a hierarchy of civilizations, and then you rank them from 1 to 10 or something, right? So that you can then talk about them and say, well, this one is more advanced than that one. There doesn't seem to be anything more to it than that. And, you know, as a gamer from way back, I recognize the value of ranking things. Traveler, the science fiction role-playing game, had rankings like that, which was incredibly useful because you could roll dice to randomly generate star systems in space.
Exactly.
Right? And we tell you how many planets and what the atmospheres were.
And die before you even started playing the game, yes.
That's character generation. I'm talking about their world generation. But it's not pointless to rank things. But to call that a philosophy and then make a big effort of self-promotion to go and visit a bunch of atheist groups, and I don't know who else. I just know atheist groups. In fact, 2 of them here in Texas, I know, have taken the bait and are having this guy come as a speaker, right?
That should be interesting.
I just want to get a word of caution out. I think this guy is nothing more than a kook, albeit a well-meaning kook. And when he contacted the ACA, I urged our group to simply ignore him.
Does he have a book about this stuff?
Yes, he has a self-published book.
That's why he wants to get on the things to promote his self-published book.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Now, of course, it's possible that I just don't get it and that his philosophy has something more to it than just kookitude. If that's the case and anybody out there wants to email me and explain it to me, I would certainly appreciate that as well. Because I don't want to go after anybody who's, really got something to... I think this is... well, I took it extremely badly when our organization was contacted by the Raelians.
Oh, boy.
Because they're atheists. They don't believe in a god. They believe in space aliens. And so they wanted to get all buddy-buddy with the ACA. I took that extremely badly. I don't like it when people that are not pretty hard-line rationalist try to cozy up to us because I think it's counterproductive.
And when Klaatu came down and...
Okay. CFI events calendar, October 27th to 30th, toward a New Enlightenment International Academy of Humanism World Congress and the Council for Secular Humanism's 25th anniversary at the State University of New York at Buffalo Amherst campus and the Buffalo Marriott in Amherst. Distinguished scientists, academics, and authors from around the world will confront the moral and scientific challenges facing the world by backward-looking ideologies and the urgent need to create a new roadmap toward a new enlightenment. And we are having a lot of background noise for which we apologize. General registration is $195 a person, which includes all conference sessions. To register or for more information, call the Council for Secular Humanism at 1-800-458-1366. December 10th to 17th, Committee for Center for Inquiry. I was trying to translate the acronym on the fly, and it wasn't working. Council for Secular... I did it again. Center for Inquiry. Cruise.
Ah.
Join Daniel Dennett, Susan Blackmore, Paul Kurtz, and Adam Hart Davis. Cruise to Cabo San Lucas, Mazatlan, and Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, with secular humanists and skeptics aboard Holland America's Oosterdam. Join leading minds in critical inquiry for 7 days of entertaining and educational lectures, discussions, and recreational activities. Plus, you get to see Paul Kurtz running around in his swim trunks.
Cool. And you danced across that minefield of verbiage quite well.
Prices start at just a mere $1,472.84 each for two in a cabin. For more information and for reserving your spot on the CFI cruise, contact 1-800-398-7571 or cruise@cfiflorida.org.
I'm not sure that if I had $1,500 to blow on a vacation, my first choice would be to hang around discussing deep philosophical issues with rationalists. It's not that I don't enjoy doing that. It's just that if I'm going away to relax somewhere, that's not necessarily how I want to pass all my time.
Well, that'd be fine with me, man.
They're not characterizing it as like a love boat for atheists either.
I don't know. They said two to a cabin, but you got to pick who was going to be in your
Yeah, you might get stuck with, Dennett or...
I'm too old to go windsurfing, so...
Imagine sharing a cabin with the amazing Randy.
That'd be kind of cool, though.
He'd
doing magic tricks all the
he'd
time.
disappear by morning and stuff. I don't know, though.
Take a shot at that $1 million.
I'm not... these guys have figured something out here, because I am not being sent on no cruise by my organization. Right? Those guys aren't paying. They're the attraction. They're onto something. Okay, other events. June 5th through 7th, International Humanist and Ethical Union 16th World Congress, Separation of Religion and State in Paris, France. So anybody listening that wants to quick hop a plane to Paris, you can go see that. For full details, visit www.iheu.org or email generaloffice@iheu.org. The IHEU is the World Umbrella Organization for Humanist, Ethical Culture, Rationalist, Secularist, and Free Thought Groups. Based in London, it is an international NGO with special consultative status with the United Nations in New York, Geneva, and Vienna, general consultative status at UNICEF in New York, and the Council of Europe in Strasbourg, and it maintains operational relations with UNESCO Paris. Its mission is to build and represent the global humanist movement to defend human rights and to promote humanist values worldwide. You can find out more about the IHEU at www.iheu.org.
Cool.
That is enough announcements. Now to old business. Last episode, we talked a lot about we talked a lot more about the crazy pharmacists who are... That's Russell.
What?
Don't think there's anything to be done, man.
It's just noise.
It's just there's a
Russell's
guy
trying to deal with the
loud
noise.
leaf blower or something right outside the window.
Yeah. Well, that's life.
He must.
Our engineer is going to deal with him. And Matt's a big guy, so I'm expecting some sounds of violence out there any minute.
Awesome.
Okay, crazy pharmacists who are trying to impose their religious beliefs on others by obstructing their access to legal birth control medications.
Mm-hmm. Or anything.
I'm not going to read this whole thing or anything, but it's birth control, right?
Yeah,
what else?
Mostly. Sure.
I guess it's just a matter of time before they come up with the next crazy thing. I just wanted to let everybody know.
I'm still waiting for Jewish grocers to refuse to sell pork.
That would be interesting.
Yes.
Do Jews think it's a sin to eat pork?
Yeah, it really depends on how
Jewish they are.
How Jewish they are, because real Jews not only will not eat any pork, but also have like separate sets of dishes and refrigerators for their milk and their meat foods.
Wow.
And I can see pharmacists whack jobs, refusing to honor prescriptions for, say, AIDS medication.
Sure, because if you got the disease,
right.
it meant
You're
you were
evil,
naughty
horrible.
and God wanted you dead.
That's right.
Interesting. Okay, so, or condom sales.
Sure, yeah.
That's not a medication, but the principle is the same. Were you able to do anything about our noise, man?
Do you hear any noise?
No.
It's quiet now.
I'll take credit for it. They were actually done, though.
Okay. So anyway, continuing that story, I just want everybody to know the national chain of pharmacies, CVS. I don't know if they're in every state in the United States, but wherever you've got them, they sent a very nice letter to Planned Parenthood saying that their policy is that while they respect the right of pharmacists not to dispense such medications if it's against their religion, they require those pharmacists to announce that religious concern before incidents come up, so they can work out a way to make sure they don't obstruct any customers getting. I know. We had this big discussion. I would rather...
Yeah, it's halfway there.
I would rather our entire culture stopped respecting people's fucking religious crazy beliefs, but at least, if you need your birth control medicine, you can go to a CVS. Also, if you want to be more involved in this effort to block the movement, the religious movement to obstruct the dispensing of pharmaceuticals, you can go to www.fillmypillsnow.com. It's fillmypillsnow.com. And they have not only a listing of pharmacies and what their policies are, but they also have letter writing campaigns you can get involved in to put pressure on various pharmacy chains that either haven't stated a policy yet or have, and it's the wrong one.
Right. Cool.
Whew. All right. One last thing. Mailbag. Jason wrote, "Hello, guys. I have listened to your show for a long time, and I'm a big fan. You guys really keep me from going insane sometimes."
We're a therapy.
Yeah, I know that's a figure of speech. "My wife and I feel isolated, not having any atheist community at all. We're in North Augusta, South Carolina, in case you might know of one. All I can recommend, Jason, is get on the internet and look to,
go to infidels.org, and they have a big listing of local groups.
Infidels.org is a big listing of local groups.
You might have to drive a ways, because there's not one everywhere, obviously.
Right.
Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that it's nice to know that there are others out there who are not crazy. And you think that's us.
You've got a lot to learn.
It seems like the atheist network has basically fallen apart with only you and infidel guys still around. It's not the network that's fallen apart. It's people have to step up to the plate, and do a show. If you want there to be more shows on Atheist Network, do a show. I'm sure Reggie would be more than thrilled to put you on. I really hope you guys can keep this show going. Well, how long is it now? Are we on 3 years yet?
3, 4. Wow. Could be 4.
It's a long time. We did take that big break that one time, though.
Well,
and now
today's episode is 4.9, so we've done 3 whole years, and we're in the 4th.
Wow, damn. I had no idea.
And we've also
4.10.
Wow.
Sorry.
We've also fallen back to an every other week thing, which,
That's true.
That makes it really, really easy on us. On your last show, there was some brief discussion about whether a historical Jesus existed. I think I recall that Jeff said he thought Jesus existed or that the issue did not matter or possibly both. Actually, I don't care whether a historical Jesus existed. I think he might have or he might not have. So maybe that's the both you're talking about. So you may not really care about this, but I think there is a significant dearth of evidence for the historical existence of Jesus. Actually, of course, I do care about that. We care what the evidence is.
Right.
But you've got to remember, lack of evidence is not necessarily evidence of absence.
Right.
So just the lack of any valid historical references to Jesus does not prove there wasn't one. It just means that when fundamentalists or any kind of Christian comes up to you and insists that there is evidence, they are big, fat, stinky liars. Because there is no good reason to believe that Jesus existed, I posit that he never did. Well, you can, but it's awfully hard to prove that a particular character from over 2,000 years ago didn't exist.
Yes.
That I think the important thing is whether there is any evidence that any of the supernatural stuff in the Bible ever happened. And if there is no evidence that it did, there you have not just, maybe magical things happened over 2,000 years ago. You can point to the world around us and the complete absence of evidence that anything supernatural ever happens ever. At all, period. And then you can reject the idea that Jesus did magic tricks, like real magic. You may have read about this subject and already made up your minds, but in case you haven't, there are various books and other resources out there. There are some good websites also. Here are a few. www.nobeliefs.com/exist.htm. No, it's no S on exist, Russell.
Oh.
Thank you. I'm going to make your life a hell now because there's more and they get longer.
Oh, dear.
www.atheists.org. Atheists.org, thank you. /Christianity. /didjesusexist.html. www.infidels.org. /library. /historical. /Marshall, MARSHALL, _GAUVIN, /
This makes for great radio.
did, _Jesus, really, live.html. And I can save you some time to repeat that line and pick up from after library.
Yes.
Okay, after library, go modern, /Paul, _Carlson,
C or K?
CARLSON, /NT, _contradictions.html. That's all of it.
CQ.
And thank you, Jason, very much for those references. No, I think it is a very important thing for us to be aware of what factual evidence there is or isn't about a Jesus. Right. But, it doesn't matter if there was a guy. That's completely irrelevant. If there was a guy and he did not have any supernatural powers, the religion is bogus.
Right.
Right?
He's as valid as Jim Jones or any of those kooks.
Right. Now, certainly there are even some atheists who say, well, some of the stuff, some of the wisdoms attributed to Jesus are worth listening to, right?
But none of them are original to him.
None of them are original to him. Plus, it doesn't matter if the guy who said them was named Jesus or the guy who said them was the guy that wrote the stories and made them up. Spider-Man says, with great power comes great responsibility. I think that's worth paying attention to, but there is no Spider-Man. There's not even a Peter Parker. But even if there was a Peter Parker, he still doesn't have the proportional strength of a spider. I'm sorry, he just doesn't. Doesn't mean that with great power comes great responsibility is any less meaningless. No, I can't prove there is one. There's a marked lack of evidence for the existence of Peter Parker.
Look at all the comic books that have been written about him. He's had two movies even, and more if you...
They wouldn't do all that if he wasn't true.
Yeah. Just for fun, though, I thought maybe we could go over the major sources cited by Christians as evidence of the actual existence of Jesus.
Yeah.
Because it's fun.
Oh, okay.
Because it's fun debunking stuff. You guys ready?
Always. Sure.
I think these were given to me in the order of importance from most to least.
Wow. Okay.
On a email exchange, and then I did some research on them.
Okay.
Because they're not in order of year.
Right.
And they're not even in alphabetical order, so I don't know. Cornelius Tacitus, 112 AD.
I've heard this list.
Huh? What?
I've heard this list, yes.
Okay. Tacitus claims no first-hand knowledge of Jesus, but is merely repeating the beliefs of Christians. He also describes Christians and Christianity as, quote, hated for their crimes, an abominable superstition, and, quote, the great reservoir and collecting ground for every kind of depravity and filth.
Boy, nothing's changed.
Christians were convicted, according to Tacitus, not so much on the charge of arson, but of their hatred for the entire human race.
Because Christianity was blamed for the Great Fire in Rome in, like, the 1st century.
Yeah. Right.
That's hence the arson.
Is that the same fire that they'd like to blame on Nero?
Yeah, and
is that the reason for the whole Nero
blamed
thing?
It on the Christians.
I see.
I see.
No, I think that's this whole hatred of the human race thing is because they got this religion where
ancient spin.
You get to go to hell unless you become one of them.
Right.
Christians who ask us to take Tacitus as evidence of a supernatural Jesus also suggesting that we should accept this author's description of Christianity itself.
No, they're not.
He also claims...
just hazarding a guess.
He also claims that Nero persecuted Christians, but there is no other historical evidence for this. The term Christian was not used until the 1st century, and Nero reigned around 60 AD. Nero did persecute Jews, and so it appears that Tacitus is either doctoring history or repeating hearsay without checking his facts.
Wait a minute. Are we saying that, I mean, is this guy now saying that Christians in the 1st century were not persecuted, thrown to the lions, whatever?
Which guy?
Whoever is writing this.
Tacitus?
Wait, is this you talking?
This is me talking.
Okay.
About Tacitus.
Are you saying that you think it's doubtful that Christians in the 1st century
the point is, here is something else Christians are liable to find interesting, where there is a fair question about how accurate Tacitus was in general, historically speaking. Right? Mm-hmm. That's the point.
Okay.
Tacitus appears to be playing fast and loose with other things that are not directly related to the historicity of Jesus. There is also evidence of later 4th century tampering with Tacitus's writings. The passage is never quoted by any of Tacitus's contemporaries. Lucian, 2nd century.
I've also heard people use Tacitus for the reason that they say, look, here's a guy confirming that early Christians were persecuted, and yet they kept their faith. So
what?
So they must have really, really believed it.
You really, really believe it now, and you don't have any direct evidence.
But the other thing I said to that is I don't see any indication that they actually had a choice of whether to be tortured or not. It's not like Nero came to them and said, would you stop being a Christian if I promise not to throw you to the lions? He just did it, at least according to the stories we know.
Interesting.
Anyway.
Lucian, 2nd century. Lucian is a satirist and not a historian, merely repeating what Christians believed in the 2nd century. This is not evidence of the historicity of Jesus, nor of his supposed magical powers. Flavius Josephus, 66 AD. The paragraph mentioning Jesus does not appear in quotes from or copies of Josephus's writings until the beginning of the 4th century. For example, it is absent from Origen's 2nd century writings, even though Origen quotes Josephus extensively in defense of Christianity. The first person known to have quoted the Jesus paragraph from Josephus was Bishop Eusebius, who is on record stating that it is permissible for Christians to tell lies so long as it furthers the kingdom of God.
Wow!
Many scholars believe that Bishop Eusebius himself was the forger. Most scholars, including most fundamentalist scholars, admit that at least some parts of this paragraph cannot be authentic. Suetonius, 120 A.D. Yes, sir.
A quick note on the Josephus one.
Yeah.
While most scholars admit that some part, most, possibly all of that particular passage is forged, there's a later mention later on in Josephus' writing where he refers to James, the brother of Jesus, which scholars pretty much universally claim is not a forgery at all.
Okay. Well,
check that out.
Really? Then, does he introduce Jesus in that section of the writing?
No, I mean that's all.
It's just like out of the blue, it talks about James, brother of Jesus. Okay, I will have to look that up. Suetonius, 120 A.D. Jesus is not mentioned by name. The name used is Christus. Christus does not mean Christ. Christus was a common name meaning good and appears many times in Latin inscriptions, having nothing to do with Christianity. Note that even if Suetonius meant Jesus when he wrote Christus, this would only establish the existence of Christianity in Rome around 112 A.D., not the existence of an actual historical Jesus, and certainly not that he performed any actual miracles. On the other hand, Suetonius explicitly reports that Caesar Augustus bodily rose to heaven when he died.
Does that make him an unreliable witness?
Are the Christians who cite Suetonius' writings as proof of a real supernatural Jesus suggesting that we should believe in Caesar Augustus' ascension as well? Pliny, 112. Pliny only reports what other people believe. There is no disagreement about whether Christianity existed at that time, but this is not evidence of the existence of an actual historical Jesus or that he performed any actual miracles. Thallus, 52 A.D. Thallus is an unknown writer, quoted by a 3rd century Christian historian, Julius Africanus, who was himself quoted by 9th century Byzantine writer George Syncellus. All of the works of Africanus are lost, so there is no way to confirm the quote or examine its context. There is no other evidence of an eclipse around the time Jesus was crucified. That this thing is about it's about the
sky going black.
Yeah, the sky going black in the story of Jesus. Syncellus reports that Africanus himself doubted the eclipse because Jesus was supposedly crucified near Easter, which always happens near a full moon when solar eclipses are impossible.
Dope.
Philegon, anybody know?
No.
Philegon? 1st century. This, along with the Talmud reference below, is a critique of Christianity attempting to refute it. At most, it establishes that Christianity already annoyed people as far back as the 1st century, a point that is not disputed, but is much more clearly illustrated by Tacitus. It does not establish the existence of an historical, much less supernatural, Jesus. And finally, Marabar Serapion, 73 A.D. This fragment of a letter from a Syrian father to his imprisoned son reports that the Jews of his time had killed their wise king. If this is supposed to refer to Jesus, it conflicts with the New Testament, which says the Romans did it. The Jews are known to have killed other Jewish leaders, for example, the Essene teacher of righteousness. Without confirmation of who it's talking about, this is worthless as evidence of the historicity of Jesus. Okay.
Cool.
So, just so we've got that covered.
Basically, nothing.
Yeah, there is no direct evidence of the actual existence of a Jesus. I don't care, because even if there was one, he was not half God. Because there's no supernatural anything, and just ridiculous to take a claim like that without any evidence at all. I think it can be dispensed with on those grounds. Who'd like to do some news?
Well,
I can do that?
Go, Dennis.
All right. Let's see. Judge. Parents can't teach pagan beliefs.
What?
Father appeals order in divorce decree that prevents couple from exposing son to Wicca. An Indianapolis father is
uncommon if they were different religions and disagreeing.
An Indianapolis father is appealing a Marion County judge's unusual order that prohibits him and his ex-wife from exposing their child to non-mainstream religious beliefs and rituals.
Yeah.
The parents practice Wicca, a contemporary pagan religion that emphasizes a balance in nature and reverence for the earth. It sounds like
the parents are both Wiccans.
Yeah.
And they're divorced?
Yeah.
But they're both still Wiccans.
They're both still Wiccans.
Yeah. And the judge says neither one of them can teach their beliefs because they're, non-mainstream? Is that what you said?
Yeah, non-mainstream.
What an ass!
Yeah. Cale J. Bradford, Chief Judge of the Marion Superior Court, kept the unusual provision in the couple's divorce decree last year over their fierce objections, court records show. The order does not define a mainstream religion. Let's see. Bradford refused to remove the provision after the 9-year-old boy's outraged parents, Thomas E. Jones Jr. and his ex-wife, Tammy U. Bristol, protested last fall. Through a court spokeswoman, Bradford said Wednesday that he could not discuss the pending legal dispute. The parents' Wiccan beliefs came to Bradford's attention in a confidential report prepared by the Domestic Relations Counseling Bureau, which provides recommendations to the court on child custody and visitation rights. Jones's son attends a local Catholic school. There is a discrepancy between Miss Jones and Mr. Jones' lifestyle and the belief system adhered to by the parochial school. Mrs. Jones and Mr. Jones display little insight into the confusion these divergent belief systems will have upon the boy as he ages, the Bureau said in its report.
Oh my God! Why doesn't he then insist that the parents remove the child from the Catholic school?
Or why doesn't he insist that the Catholic school stop teaching Christian bullshit?
Well, the Catholics can have their own private schools.
Okay, it is a private school.
They can have private schools. That's all right.
Why doesn't he keep his nose out of it?
Well,
that would work too.
I mean, I 90% agree with you. Just playing Christian's advocate here. It's possible that you could have a situation where the parents are just nuts and doing some crazy thing that would be bad for the kid's mental health, like simultaneously educating him in 2 different religions at the same time. Maybe, right? It's a stretch. It's a big stretch.
I don't necessarily think that would be bad.
But I can see how somebody would consider that to be not optimal.
Okay.
All right. I'm really bending over backwards trying to find some sense in this. But even if that made sense, the thing to do then would be to take the kid out of the Catholic school. To say, no, I'm sorry, you parents are both Wiccans. We don't want you confusing your kid. Raise your kid as a Wiccan.
But why
that's
does
the
he
only
have,
kind of that's the only kind of sense that I can see.
Why does he suddenly have special jurisdiction over this just because they're divorcing? They both agree that he should be raised Wiccan.
But if they were still kind of shit that divorce courts do have jurisdiction over?
I don't see why, because I mean, like, if they were still married, they'd still be teaching the kid 2 different religions, basically, by sending him to Catholic school. Only because they're still married, it's okay for the kid's mental health.
Does it say who's got custody, or did they lose custody?
Well, let's see here.
Well, you looked that up.
Jones brought the case before the Indiana Court of Appeals with help from the Indiana Civil Liberties Union. They filed their request for the appeals court to strike the 1-paragraph clause.
But I'm talking about in the divorce, right? Who got custody of the kid? If it doesn't, you try to find out if that says, and we'll keep yakking. I mean,
She and Jones have joint custody, and the boy lives with the father on the north side.
Well, that makes no sense at all.
I know.
If the state had custody, which can happen, if the state had custody, unfortunately, they probably would be able to decide what religion the kid is going to be raised in, but I would think that even then, the only one they'd have authority to pick is the one that the parents had.
It says, when they read the order to me, I said, "You got to be kidding," said Alicia G. Cohen, Indianapolis attorney representing Jones. Didn't the judge get the memo that it's not up to him what constitutes a valid religion?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. That's nuts.
Yep.
It is nuts.
So, yeah, it's that's blatantly unconstitutional.
Russell, what do you got?
I'm ready to launch into the Smithsonian Institute.
Okay, sure, do the Smithsonian
thing. Take a while. Okay. As some of you guys may or may not have known...
There's a big museum in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Really?
Yeah.
So we can take it on secondhand evidence that it exists. Wow.
Well, there's also books written by people who never were there, but they lived, within, a century of other people having been there.
Amazing.
Go ahead.
Anyway, the Smithsonian is quite a highly respected museum, and people looked to it for much of their... often looked to it as an authority on science education.
Uh-huh.
And the Discovery Institute pulled this delightful little trick last week.
Okay.
Which I found out on Tuesday when I went and read my favorite blogs.
The Discovery Institute? What's that?
They run the Discovery Channel?
Yeah.
Yes, why? That sounds perfectly scientific. No, the Discovery Institute is that group that promotes intelligent design and goes around the country hawking this to schools.
And
currently they're in
the
Kansas.
Smithsonian.
They bribed them.
What?
The controversy over the Smithsonian Museums of Natural History's decision to allow a documentary based on intelligent design, the theory that life is so meticulously...
Is there quotes around theory?
No, it says theory. The theory that life is so meticulously complex, there should be though, that a divine intelligence must have designed it to be played at one of its theaters ended in a compromise yesterday.
Compromise?
Well, the film now won't be shown, but the screening fee required by the museum... the film will be shown.
Will be shown, yes.
But the screening fee required by the museum, in this case $16,000, won't be accepted. And the museum will withdraw its customary co-sponsorship.
Wow.
Wait a minute. So they're getting to show it for free?
Yes.
Because they'd already sold tickets.
Let's see.
The major part of this thing is the retraction of the co-sponsorship.
Refund the damn tickets. They should not be showing this
I agree.
creationist filth.
They should not.
At a Smithsonian theater.
We've been, some people I've been talking to have been piecing the events together.
Yeah.
And basically decided that what probably happened was that some low-level events coordinator who is in charge of this and doesn't normally have to go all the way to the top of the, scientific staff to discuss a piddly little $16,000 donation.
Yeah.
Basically said, sure, we'll have a private party for you guys.
Oh, it's private?
Yes, it was private.
Okay.
They do this sort of thing all the time. Museums do.
Yeah.
And the Discovery Institute immediately turned around and started posting all over the internet. Look here, the Smithsonian seems to be warming up to intelligent design, which of course prompted a massive letter writing campaign.
Now, they're going to get smart. They're going to start withholding that they're crowing until after the event has happened. Because imagine if they had just kept their big, fat creationist mouths shut until after it had already occurred.
Yes.
Then there'd be $16,000 of their money in the Smithsonian's pocket. Mm-hmm. The event would have gone on with the co-sponsorship of the Smithsonian on it.
And we'd all be speaking at a slightly greater volume.
Yeah.
Yes. The news spread across science blogs, especially those dedicated to the evolution debate. When James Randi heard the story, he said he called the Smithsonian, offering the institution $20,000 not to show the
I got a counter proposal.
Awesome.
They are renting the place for this creationist film, but apparently the Smithsonian did not know it was a creationist film, Randi said from his Fort Lauderdale headquarters. If it was a matter of money, which I doubt, he said, then I'm ready to surpass that. Now, I haven't seen what the Smithsonian's official statement is, but I have seen correspondence with private individuals who were involved in the letter-writing campaign, and here's what they wrote back to these people. Your correspondence regarding the screening of Privileged Planet has been received in the Smithsonian's Public Inquiry Mail Service for response. The Smithsonian's National Museum of Natural History recently approved a request by the Discovery Institute to hold a private invitation-only screening and reception at the museum on June 23rd for the film The Privileged Planet. Upon further review, we have determined that the content of the film is not consistent with the mission of the Smithsonian Institution's scientific research. Neither the Smithsonian Institution nor the National Museum of Natural History supports or endorses the views of the Discovery Institute or the film. Given that the Discovery Institute has already issued invitations, we will honor the commitment made to provide space for the event, but we will not participate or accept a donation for it. We appreciate your interest in the Smithsonian Institution.
It's an honorable compromise, I think.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
Who runs the Smithsonian? Is that a government-run thing?
I don't know.
I really want to know. Because I know that the Bush administration is doing things like putting their politicos in charge of public broadcasting and other things.
Oh, speaking of public broadcasting...
I thought the Smithsonian was a private institution run by donations and...
Okay. Speaking of public broadcasting, though, after it screens at the Smithsonian, they have already submitted it to be played on PBS.
And is it going to be?
I believe it is, although what I've heard is that local PBS affiliates have a large amount of discretion about what they want to screen. So
hey, there's another fun activist thing to do. Yeah, yes. Write to your local PBS channel and ask them, please, not to air Privileged Planet from the Discovery Institute.
Well, I think, personally, I'm not happy that they're still screening it. But I think you could see this as a good thing in a couple of ways. First of all, if the Smithsonian had simply pulled the film, the Discovery Institute would be jumping on screaming about censorship the very next day.
Yeah.
One of the things this does is take a lot of the winds out of their sail.
And the letter is rather unambiguously phrased.
Right. The second thing I want to say is that in the future, this is going to be something I know you like, Jeff, which is a debating booby trap. Which is, the Discovery Institute is still going to try to make the best of this, and clueless creationists are going to read somewhere that this was screened.
Right, because what they will not do is they will not make a big effort
the disclaimer.
To spread the disclaimer around to the people.
But we save the disclaimer, and when some idiot comes and posts, look, the Discovery Institute played a creationist film, then you get to say, but they also said that we neither support nor endorse this, and it's completely inconsistent with our mission.
Is that letter from the Smithsonian online somewhere? Where we can actually have it as a reference and not just, well, no, Mr. Creationist, I heard that they gave the money back and withdrew their support.
The thing is, I saw it on the Panda's Thumb, which is a weblog, and one of their members posted that Smithsonian had written it to them. Yeah. Another person I know posted identical text, which he had also received in his email. I have to assume that eventually the Smithsonian will issue this as a statement. But all right. I don't know yet.
But just knowing how things turned out is not necessarily enough to make your point.
That's a good point.
In debating a creationist idiot.
That is a very good point.
We need to have actual references. Maybe by next show you could find a place where it's up. Or maybe you could take the text and put it up on your blog? Somewhere where people get it?
I've got it on Panda's Thumb where I can link people to that.
Okay. Your blog, by the way, again, is?
My blog is www.Kazimscorner, with a K starting each word, KazimsKorner.com. No, that's wrong. It's Kazimscorner.blogspot.com. I've actually got several new things up there this week. One of them is my commentary, actually, on this case. I call it the hacksaw strategy. A second thing that I've got up there is an exchange with a dumb theist that I wrote and will be reading later if we have time.
Okay.
And the third thing is a comical picture that somebody photoshopped for us.
Oh, is that up on your blog?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Jeff doesn't care for that picture.
Well, that's not what I... Well, don't say that.
No, I thought it was hilarious.
Hilarious. Yeah, it is that.
Who's next?
That would be you, Dennis.
All right.
I have a teeny tiny bit of news.
The address of the blog on my website.
Before you start, Dennis?
Yeah.
Russell's going to post the address to his blog, and then I'm going to tell you all how to get to my writings, which are not in the form of a blog, but since we're on the subject.
Yes.
After you send yours. I have some essays posted at www.io.com/unagames/commentary.html, I think. It might not have the L on the end. Sometimes that matters.
I'll check it out.
Okay. All right, Dennis, go ahead.
All right. Well, here's a long story, but I'll give you a very brief rundown. Kentucky diocese settles for $120 million. Woohoo! Nation's largest settlement for child molestation.
Boy, I'll settle for $120 million. I don't need that $200 million.
Now let's see how many.
That's not what you mean, is it?
It's I think spread out over 70 people. Compensation will range from $5,000 to $450,000 per person.
Is that depending on the number of insertions or what?
I don't know.
How deep the hand went down the pants or what?
It's conceivable. I don't know.
Whether there were nuns present?
Yeah. Oh, God. But that's nice. It's getting bigger. I'll really.
Is that big?
Well, it's the biggest yet, I think.
My reaction when I hear that stuff is like, man,
it's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah,
They go into multi-billions.
One gold cross holder from the altar is enough to pay that.
Yeah. When they start giving $120 million to each kid.
Yeah. Now we're talking. Yeah.
So that's all. That's all. Just a really big settlement. Really nice.
Well, let me do a little.
Okay.
I did that.
They're probably doing $120 million divided by 70 people over 30 years. We're going to make payments to you, which means they're just paying it out of interest.
Right. Yeah. They find ways, man. They get lawyers. They get
I should have been a priest.
Should you? You'd be rolling in the money.
I know.
And you'd probably be on a cruise now to the Bahamas. Just you and a bunch of choir boys. Or is that why you're not a priest?
That's why I'm not.
Okay. This was sent by our listener.
There are a couple more things I wanted to say.
Yes.
Another thing that's on my blog now, since you made the point that calling myself Kazim sounds weird, is on the sidebar there's a description of why I use that word. And also, coming soon, our new website address will be nonprophetsradio.com.
Oh.
Linda has registered it, and it doesn't point to our page yet.
Okay, great.
But we will have our own URL.
We're getting slightly more real. And by the way, I want to dispute Neutron Jack's claim that my writings are crap
because they're not
in the form of a blog. They're not crap. Everything that Aristotle ever wrote is crap just because he didn't have a blog? And yes, I am comparing myself with Aristotle. Deal with it.
State crap in the form of a blog.
Yes, because we all know that blogs contain only non-crap.
That's right. So all those crappy blogs out there, they're not crap.
Yeah.
Everything in them is just wonderful. Top Professor Sparks Outrage, May 23rd. This was sent by our listener, David.
Outrage is always good.
a Brooklyn College professor who has called religious people moral retards was elected to head his department this month, sparking a campus outroar.
That's great.
Okay.
Emails expressing alarm that Timothy Shortell was now chairman of the sociology department circulated among students last week on the school's Midwood campus.
Note that that's not the sociability.
No, sociology.
Sociology.
Shortell has written in an online academic publication that the devout are, quote, an ugly, violent lot. In the name of their faith, these moral retards are running around pointing fingers. Unquote. I'm horrified by the ideology of Professor Shortell, said Eldad Yaron, a Brooklyn College senior. This person has control right now on the content of many classes every student will take. Just imagine how fair and balanced these classes will be.
Another brilliant Fox News listener.
Yeah. Daniel Tauber, president-elect of the school's student government, said he was worried that Shortell and other faculty members would breed religious intolerance at the diverse college. Let's step back just one moment. This guy has called Christians moral retards.
Mm-hmm.
Christians call him and everybody else evil, corrupt beings who deserve to be tortured forever.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But the concern is that he won't promote tolerance.
Right.
He won't promote fairness and balance.
Because we all know their religion is so tolerant, you know.
Yeah, their religion is so tolerant that they call everybody who's not one of them a hideous creature that deserves to be tortured forever.
Well, they even call themselves hideous creatures that deserve to be tortured.
How the fuck do they dare? I just can't frickin' believe it. I would like to see professors in high positions who didn't believe religious people are moral retards, Tauber said.
Well,
I think they're immoral retards myself, but...
Well, yeah, I guess you could like to see that, but I would like to see professors in high positions who don't believe that people that don't agree with their religious beliefs ought to be tortured forever. How the fuck do they dare?
It never stops being fun to say that, does it?
Huh?
It never stops being fun to say that.
No.
Tortured forever.
That's their religion. How the fuck do they dare to criticize anybody else on the planet for being intolerant?
I don't know.
Fuck.
The only way they tolerate you is if you turn over your life to them.
Yeah.
To their Jesus. That's the only way they'll tolerate you, and even then they won't. If you're a different splinter group of their Jesus-loving bullshit.
Shortell's remarks, which included lines such as, quote, Christians claim that their faith is based on love, but they'll just as soon kill you.
Yes.
Elicited a multi-faith backlash among university groups. He's intolerant, fumed Alex Selsky of the school's Hillel chapter, a Jewish campus organization. Well, why are Jewish people freaking out about... Oh, okay, I understand why Jewish people are freaking out about this. Because they've had genocide committed against them by people who really were intolerant of a particular religion.
Let me ask you something, though. Suppose that a Christian professor had said that gay people are moral retards. Yeah. Would you be pissed off if that guy reached a position of high authority?
Well, yeah. I would.
Yeah, and the difference is that homosexuality is not a belief system which
atheist.
Claims... Okay. Ooh, that's a good one. Let me think.
What is this?
I mean...
Are we back on the use of strong language argument again that we spent so much time on last week?
Well, Kind of. I mean, I don't want to be guilty of having a double standard here. I don't think. I think that calling someone a moral retard is inflammatory
whether
and not an argument.
Whether you have a double standard or not,
yes,
does not depend on whether it doesn't prove you have a double standard if you call one group of people are moral retards and another group isn't. That's not a double standard.
So in other words, you're saying that he's justified because Christians really are moral
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying what his standard is whatever he is using as criteria for moral validity.
Okay.
That is his standard. The standard is not, I will call all people morally knowledgeable because then I'm using the same standard for everyone. That's not how it works. If he had the problem is that and way near the bottom of the article it says Shortell didn't return calls to him at his office. I wish he would. I wish he would stand up and say what his standards are and explain why he thinks it is fair to refer to theists as moral retards.
Okay.
I could answer that question. I can tell you exactly why I think Christians are moral retards, or Christians and religious people in general, most religious people in general, are moral retards. I can tell you exactly why. And if my standard is consistent, it's not a double standard.
Theists would say the same thing if they were in the reversed position. And I would argue that...
I disagree. They're not saying the same thing. They're not saying, let's hear his argument.
No. Theists would say... atheists are moral retards.
Okay.
And then they would say, based on my standards of morality, which are objective because da-da-da-da-da,
and now that
I stand by my statement.
And now that we're past the question of what was the phrase you used, of having a double standard, right? We're past that question now. They've got a single standard. Now we can look at the standard and see if it makes any sense, and we can talk about the standard.
Okay,
which I'd be thrilled to have that discussion.
But we all know from past experience that getting into the talk about what's moral and what's not is a landmine. I mean, it's really complicated.
I'm thinking not.
It's very. I mean, it can be extremely subjective in that one person can think something is wrong while another person cannot. And by calling someone a moral retard, you're claiming absolute knowledge and truth over a certain system of morality being 100% accurate.
No. I disagree.
Okay.
I think here, let me make the argument. Okay. I think that religions based on the divine command theory of morality.
Yes.
Miseducate people on what morality is and why we would want to have such a thing. Therefore, people who are in those types of religions are ignorant of what morality is and why we would want to have such a thing.
Okay, I'm a theist.
Yes?
I think you and your humanist ways are miseducating people on what morality is.
Russell, please don't keep jumping back and forth between different criticisms.
Okay.
Now, if we're talking about whether there's a double standard, right, we have each just now established that we have a single standard. Now we can talk about which of the standards is valid.
But does it help to say, by the way, does it help to throw in, the other guy is just a moral retard? I mean, does that help? Contribute to the discussion?
No, it doesn't.
I think neither side should be employing that sort of language. Sorry.
I think people ought to speak their minds. I think Christians are fucking speaking their minds, Russell. They're running around the streets. They're running around loose with nobody criticizing them, saying that we deserve to be tortured forever.
You're right. And they're wrong and full of shit to say that.
But...
I think it largely doesn't matter.
I think that
the professor had an opinion, stated his opinion, but it doesn't have anything to do with what he's going to do in his new position.
Oh, I think that's not true. Well, he's a sociology professor, head of the department.
It doesn't necessarily make what his personal opinion is may not have any effect on his policies later on. They will, but you judge what he does when he's affecting policy. But the more important thing is he was elected to this position.
Yeah. Right. And that's
whether or not his opinions were
Yeah.
part of why he was elected or not. If people have complaints, you have to go about it in the normal process. But that doesn't mean that just because he has an opinion that religious people are moral retards, that he's going to be in a position to affect policy that might be based on that opinion. The type of things that he's going to be doing may not have anything to do with religion at all. I mean,
it's hard for me to see how.
Probably.
Yeah, that seems to me like an area where it matters.
Yeah, but
I have to disagree with you. I have to disagree with the sort of gist of what you're saying, that people's prior statements, if they might not, if it might not affect job performance, that therefore we could just brush the whole thing off. I mean, there's this whole thing going on with confirmation of Bush's judicial nominees.
We're talking about thought crimes there, though, because if what I think doesn't affect what I'm doing in my job, and you're willing to say that I can't do the job because you don't like what I think, now you're punishing me for a thought crime.
You're right. Let me back.
Well, I know I'm right.
Let me back up a bit. I will retreat to this position. Okay, I can understand why religious people would be upset.
Oh, I can't do.
Right. Okay. And why they would be concerned, and why they'd be justifiably concerned.
Mm-hmm. But now there's a point here. You can say, okay, like they each have a single standard, right?
Yeah.
Except the theists are hypocrites. They complain about his intolerance when they themselves are intolerant.
Well, he's intolerant too.
Yes, but he doesn't complain about their being intolerant.
Well, yes, he does.
He points it out.
Yes, he
points out.
Well, then that's the same thing.
Is it a complaint or an observation?
I mean, I could very easily see this guy. This has not happened, but I could very easily see Professor Shortell making a big public statement of outrage if they picked some right-wing fundamentalist Baptist Looney Tune to run the sociology department.
Right.
For the same reasons.
Right.
I mean,
sure, he can complain about that. That's no problem. Because he doesn't hold the double standard that, that guy's intolerant, and then you can show that he's intolerant because...
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get around. I think the whole question of whether you're being tolerant or not is not the issue.
Right.
Yeah,
it's because absolute tolerance is ridiculous,
right?
And absolute intolerance is ridiculous.
Yes.
What matters is what are your reasons for promoting some things and opposing other things. That's what matters. And that's what I think the discussion ought to be about. And that's not.
Yeah,
I mean,
you are correct.
As long as it's not, Christians are free to walk the streets without anybody calling them on the evilness of their fucking religion.
Right.
So.
All right.
And if you ever do, I mean, if anyone got a hold of these shows and we ever wanted to do something, very public, then we would probably have the kind of stuff we talk about here thrown in our face and used to prevent us from...
But I will be happy to engage in a discussion of why I think what I've said is valid.
Of course.
And I'll also be happy to back down from things that I've said that aren't valid if I can be shown that they're not valid.
Right.
Because I'm not going into this with some predetermined faith-based assumption, right, that I pray about every day to brainwash myself into sticking with one point of view. So I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
They have a problem with that. Kevin Orohan, after all this discussion, the wisest thing in this entire article is written by a Christian. Kevin Orohan, director of the school's InterVarsity Christian Fellowship, said he hopes the university can, quote, Move beyond mere rhetoric in the pursuit of truth.
Yeah.
Hell yeah!
Sounds good.
All this crap about he's tolerant, he's intolerant, no, he's tolerant. It doesn't matter. What matters is what's true.
Yeah.
Not who's annoyed, but what the facts are. Where the valid arguments are. A college spokesman said there's little CUNY officials can do. Whether one agrees with Dr. Shortell's comments, this is an election as mandated by the university's guidelines, he said. His comments are public, but this is the decision of the sociology department, as Matt pointed out. Shortell didn't return calls to him at his office. However, I did write him an email. He has a website. I looked him up, and I sent him an email. He has not responded, but just an email from Texas to let him know that there are some people who think he's dead on target.
Good.
Okay. Russell's turn, I believe.
Okay.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right.
I think so.
I'm going to go with a story about eHarmony, which...
Is that eHarmony.com?
Yes.
Okay, what is that?
It has some of the most... among the most annoying ads on Air America Radio, I personally think.
Music? A music website?
No, it's a dating website.
Oh, it's website.
Yes.
Okay.
You know, hi, I'm Needle Clark Warren, and I want you to find your soulmate.
Oh, that.
On
okay.
eHarmony.
Yeah. All right. I don't mind that as a figure of speech. Souls as a figure of speech.
No, I just mean he's annoying. I don't mean that particular thing.
Not as annoying as that guy that wants to teach you how to make millions of... How do you...
Buy Bruce Furman's book, okay?
No. It's...
I got here, you can too.
He's got a real weird accent.
I want to tell you how to make... Is he Irish? I can't place it. I have to show you how to make money. Lots and lots of money. I'll help you become rich. Very rich. What the hell is that? He's the Rula Lenska of men. I can't place it.
People who don't listen to Air America Radio
have no idea what we're talking about. If you're not listening to Air America, at least not even on the internet, you're missing out, folks.
Yes, you should.
Go ahead.
But anyway, this guy is really annoying, but until recently...
Dolph LaRousse, that's this guy's name.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
Until recently, he was annoying and associated with the American Family Association.
Oh, really?
One of those.
So they had no gay... dating
no,
things?
they've refused and still do refuse, in fact, to allow gay dating. But good news.
I object to dating sites that don't include dating. I object to dating sites that don't include like swingers and polyamorists and any other crazy thing people want to do.
Okay,
yes.
Huh?
OkCupid.com.
OkCupid has all that?
It's fun.
Is it?
You take all kinds of crazy tests. And, I mean, dumb tests, like the Rocky Horror Picture Show Trivia test.
Really?
And you can compare your results to other people to see what common interests you have.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot of fun.
A psychologist with a divinity degree, Warren has emerged from the Christian community. 3 of his 10 books on love and dating were published by conservative Focus on the Family to become one of the Internet's most unlikely entrepreneurs. His secular matchmaking service has grown into the 4th largest dating site on the web, behind Match.com, Yahoo, and Spark networks, according to internet measurement company Comscore Media Matrix. Later this summer, he plans to announce an online service aimed at assessing and improving marriages. Warren started out marketing primarily to Christian sites, touting eHarmony as based on the Christian principles of Focus on the Family author Dr. Neil Clark Warren. The connection may come as a surprise to today's mainstream users. Nothing in Warren's TV or radio ads hints at his Christian background. And while it's no secret, the website doesn't play it up either. eHarmony increasingly is seeking out secular audiences through online partnerships, including promotions on usatoday.com and other news sites owned by USA Today's parent company, Gannett. As part of that effort, Warren is trying to distance himself from Focus on the Family and its founder, James Dobson, a longtime friend. Warren says he will no longer appear on Dobson's radio show, and he recently bought back the rights to the 3 books Focus on the Family published, Finding the Love of Your Life making anger your ally, and learning to live with the love of your life. So
making anger your ally?
Make anger your ally.
Wow. I kind of agree with... I potentially agree with that sentiment. But when you hear it from a fundamentalist, then I'm worried.
Yeah.
It's like saying make hatred your homie.
So he's buying back the rights to these books so he can remove Focus's name from their covers. We're trying to reach the whole world, people of all spiritual orientations, all political philosophies, all racial backgrounds. And
not all sexual orientations. And not all spiritual whatevers either, because I bet they don't have atheists.
Did you check? I have not checked. I'll skip down a bit to the part where they talk about gay stuff. It says, from a corporate perspective, eHarmony does discriminate. There's clearly a deliberate desire to exclude gay people from the site, says New York psychiatrist Jack Drescher, who is gay and treats gay and lesbian couples. But Warren says eHarmony promotes heterosexual marriage, about which he has done extensive research, and he says he does not know enough about gay and lesbian relationships to do same-sex matching. So there's his excuse. I don't buy it.
Right.
Even so, cheers to him for getting away from loony James Dobson. And I first heard about this by listening to Dobson's show, because Dobson went on a rant. And a rule of thumb I have is that any morning when James Dobson is unhappy, I need to look for somebody to support.
It seems to me like he just found a scam that's making him more money than the religion scam.
There you go.
Well, but there...
so why,
a scam?
Well, it's a service.
There's a difference between a service and a scam.
It's not necessarily
a scam is they take your money and don't give you anything in return.
Well, I would imagine there's a whole lot of people who are visiting dating sites who are paying their money and not getting anything in return.
Yeah, and it's like $40 a month, I've been told.
Though.
Well, hideous swamp creatures need some loving, too.
It's something like $40 a month, I believe, for eHarmony.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And stories I've read say that those sites are like 90% male, which wouldn't surprise me at all.
So maybe they need to start looking at gay issues.
Good point.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Who's next?
You are next.
All right.
I guess the good thing about going
Only a few minutes left.
The good thing about going with gay relationships is that there's no parity problem.
Right.
It doesn't matter whether there's an equal number of one thing or the other, because...
See, as soon as you said parity problem, I'm thinking like...
Parity.
Wall, socket, and plug. There you don't have a parity problem. If you have two plugs... And then I would have...
All right. Well, speaking of parity problems and two plugs...
Yes.
New York... Rooters, altering a single gene in a fruit fly can turn its sexual orientation around, causing male flies to lose interest in females and females to display male mating rituals to other females, according to a study published in the journal Cell on Friday.
I think you want to reread that last sentence.
What? No, he's right. Read that sentence again.
Altering a single gene in a fruit fly can turn its sexual orientation around, causing male flies to lose interest in females. And females to display male mating rituals to other females.
So females learn.
I misunderstood.
Females learn how to dance.
Fruit flies.
Oh God, that's hot.
For those people who like that fly action.
Fruit flies with little 69s, their legs spread.
Okay, that is really not hot.
Man,
I haven't made my tasteless statement of the day for quite some time, and I'm making up for it.
But basically, that's the gay gene. Woo! So
really, now do they say if that's a gene that there is in human beings?
They say the Institute of Molecular Biology, the Austrian Academy of Sciences, into workings of a switch gene, touched on the scientific debate about whether genes or environment determine human sexual orientation.
Okay, now how do they explain bisexual fruit flies?
I don't know.
There's no theory?
But they can... I don't know. This thing didn't go into detail. What the hell? So anyway, bizarre.
Yeah. So, but that makes those fruit flies are going straight to hell.
Yes, that's
just because of their genes.
They're unnatural.
Okay. Let's do a little. We have been very not political today.
Yeah, true. 5 minutes, by the way.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to read this whole story. It's way too long. But let's just have a little chat about Danieltown Baptist Church.
Yeah? What'd they do?
They put up the pastor, Creighton Lovelace.
Yeah.
LACE, not LESS, because that would be more
yes,
ironic.
It would.
He put up a sign that says the Koran needs to be flushed.
Oh.
In response to this story that interrogators at Guantanamo Bay included in their torture procedures, the desecration of the Koran, including flushing.
And everybody claimed that was a lie fabricated by Newsweek, and then it turned out it wasn't.
Yeah.
Right.
The tolerant.
Even though Newsweek retracted and said they hadn't done enough research.
Yes.
But now it's been confirmed.
Oh, yeah.
That has happened. Or that, let me be specific, the military confirmed that there had been mishandling of the Koran. They did not say flushing down toilets.
Yeah, and
I want to know where you get these teeny, tiny little Korans.
Yeah.
Or whether it was a long process of tearing out 15 pages at a time, crumpling them and flushing them. Because that could go on. That could be excruciating.
That's why you pay $500 for a toilet.
I mean, I've tried it. Mine doesn't go past the
That's another possibility. They may have really big frickin' toilets down there. They could be nothing more than outhouses. I can see an entire Koran going down an outhouse hole.
There you go.
No problem.
I wouldn't want to see it.
Kerplunk, and it's gone.
Now, of course, as atheists, we have no special opinion on flushing a Koran.
That's right.
Except insofar as it's a dumb idea when you're doing it in the country that you're occupying and would like not to riot.
I am reminded of a kind of kooky science fiction role-playing game I ran.
The flushing occurred in Gitmo and not in...
No. Oh.
Well, it's been confirmed that flushing is happening.
Well, when my Koran gets stuck in the S-bend, I usually push it with a Bible.
What you can do is you can take a Bible and just drop it down the back of the toilet, and it'll keep your toilet fresh for a long time. I was going to try to get the end of the story.
Okay, go for it.
I ran a science fiction role-playing game once where the bad guy aliens were these pack rat kind of creatures that had their they were like genetically motivated to collect stuff, to hoard stuff, and having stuff was like the ultimate thing. And so they captured the player characters and tortured them by disintegrating the player's personal possessions in front of them. And as a little disintegrator, they wheeled it in front of the force field cage, right? Disintegrated one item at a time, and then stared at it like, ooh, they're not freaking out. Disintegrate something else. So my reaction to this, my reaction as an atheist to people freaking out about the fact that Korans are thrown down the toilet is, it is so kooky what people can decide is a big deal to them. Yeah. It's not your Koran. It's not your personal copy. It's not your personal possession. Other people should be able to do with their possessions or with their government possessions whatever the hell they feel like.
Yeah.
Now, but knowing that people do react that way, and we have no time to discuss this, people were trying to tell me last week, it can be very counterproductive to do stuff you know is going to freak people out, even if you think they're nuts to be freaked out by it in the first place. So I bet that's going to be an ongoing discussion. Are we done? No?
We got time. I think what's funny is the conservative flip-flop on this issue.
Oh?
In that when they thought it was just a Newsweek lie, they said, oh my God, Newsweek printed a story that caused all these people to riot. And now that it turns out that it probably did happen, at least somewhere, suddenly they're saying,
what's the big damn deal?
Are they saying that?
Yeah, and you've got this pastor here saying they should have done that.
One kooky pastor. I mean,
I would just bet you that his voice was joining the Newsweek lied people died chorus before this happened.
Here's some irony at the end of this story.
Yes.
Lovelace said he felt it was the work of God to display the sign, and that no one in the church had spoken up against it to him. He said his church has 55 members on the roster, and he has only received one angry phone call since the sign was posted. Quote, "We have a good group of people," unquote. He has a good group of people because of the 55 on his roster. And by the way, you know that church rosters are bigger than actual attendance, which means this is a teeny, tiny little church. But they're a good group of people because only one of them complained about his religious-based hatred.
It's one of those situations, he's so far out there, he's not even wrong. He doesn't get it.
Lovelace said the sign changes every week. About Friday or Saturday, we will have a new sign, he said. It should state to some effect, "Where are your treasures? Are they at the flea market or are they in heaven?" Loveless said that he doesn't have anything against the flea market that recently opened up down the street from the church. Which I think is hilarious because that meant the reporter just asked, "So you don't like flea markets?" I enjoy a good flea market, but if people can be down there at 8 o'clock, why can't they be in church at 11? He said.
2 minutes. It should be going now.
It is.
Oh, okay.
Am I off? Okay, goodbye, everyone.
Keep going.
Music's over.
No,
what?
Huh? No.
I go away now. Thank you for listening. We will see you in 2 weeks.